through. Our second guest has called Philadelphia her home for over 40 years. She's a real estate broker agent with Caldwell Banker Preferred, and she assists buyers and sellers in Philadelphia and the surrounding counties with their housing needs. Licensed since 2007, she's here to talk with us about all things as it pertains to home ownership. Family, like I'd like for you to meet Desarrie McDuffie. Hey there, beautiful.
Hi, beautiful. How are you?
I am well. Is that a fur baby?
It is. She was just barking, so I had to grab
Oh,
her so she wouldn't interrupt the show. I'm sorry.
no, 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 no. Please don't apologize. The family knows, they know Chloe Chanel. They know my baby.
Okay. Oh,
And
that's right. We were talking about her
we were,
before.
yes. And Chloe, listen, Chloe was spayed. I don't want to say it too loud. I don't want to say it loudly at all. She was spayed about 2 weeks ago. And that's probably why no one has heard Chloe, because she's really been subdued. She's been so
Yeah,
chill. But
yeah.
nice to finally see your fur baby. So,
Hi.
oh my goodness, look at that face.
Carol.
Oh my goodness. I'm in love. I'm in love. Now y'all know I love the fur babies. Y'all know I do. I love all the babies. I
Yes, I
love
do
them.
too. This is my baby. So,
So Desiree,
yes, ma'am.
I'm so happy to have you join us because this is the first conversation. I think I was telling you this earlier, that this is the first conversation we're having about real estate. And I'm so excited to have this I'm excited to have all these conversations because I learned something when talking with all of our guests, but especially and particularly about real estate, because there's so much going on. There are so many scams and all kinds of things
Mhm.
that are taking place. And I want us to know better so we can do better, you know.
Absolutely.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, family. I'm saying that because I actually have a family member who had a terrible situation. Um, she was actually paying rent to someone who did not own the property that she was renting. So it was a horrible situation. But so Desiree, please tell us about yourself. Tell us some things that I did not share.
Oh, well, my name is Desarrie Real Estate Diva McDuffie. You did mention that I've been a licensed real estate agent since 2007. Prior to that, I worked in social services for about 10 years. And during that time, I'll be honest with you, I got burnt out, completely burnt out from
I
social
bet.
services.
I
Yes.
bet.
Yes. Actually, yeah, I'm not gonna say that. But anyway, yes, I got burnt out. I got burnt out. So around the time I got burnt out, I began looking for an opportunity where I could still service other people,
Mhm.
I'm a helper at heart. I'm a connector, I'm a helper. I love, just putting resources, connecting people to resources. So I took my nephew to an information session about real estate, trying to help him.
Mhm. Mhm.
And lo and behold, I got the information and I said, you know what? I could do this. This sounds like something I want to do. And around that same time, I was actually buying my first investment property. So I was like, you know what? So that's the other thing. I couldn't find a good real estate agent to assist me because I wasn't spending a whole lot of money. Right.
Okay.
Literally at that time, this was in 2007. I had $30,000. That's all I had. So
Okay.
trying to buy an investment property, and I could not get an agent to assist me because I wasn't spending a whole lot of money. And listen, real estate agents in the real estate world, it's all about that dollar, right? Everyone wants
Mm.
to make money. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to get my license. I actually had to end up closing on that property with another real estate agent. I was able to find someone to help me. And it was
Mhm.
actually, I found out years later that it was his first transaction. So it was very,
Oh, wow.
it was very difficult to get through, but we got through it. But what I said was that, once I got licensed, I was never going to be that agent that felt like she was too big and
Mhm.
too, high to be able to deal with a lower priced, buyer, because that's what I was running into,
Well, thank you for that.
Yes,
And I
ma'am.
mean that, from all of us, because, you're the agent. You know far more than we do
Hmm.
as the buyer or seller. And that whole process, buying a home, selling home, both processes, quite
Hmm.
honestly, are
Hmm.
tedious. They're
Very
tedious.
much.
And you could really be taken for bad if you don't know.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
thank you. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I made it my mission, because the other thing, it was like a smorgasbord of things happening around that same time. Not only had I gotten burnt out from social services, I was trying to help my nephew find a career path. I was buying an investment property. And the other component that made me realize this is something I need to do is that I realized that in working in social services, most of the people we were servicing were not homeowners. And they were either living in Section 8 housing, PHA housing, family, grandmom's house,
Right.
or renting to a from a slumlord or whatever the case may be. And they were very transient. They were moving from place to place to place because they didn't have, that home. Right. And
Okay.
that affects children, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The stability of the child, they're not able to make friends, they're constantly moving. That creates a level of stress for children. So I said, you know what? This is the population that I want to serve. I want to help our people,
Mm-hmm.
underprivileged people, the Black community, or whoever those people may be,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to own a home. So that's pretty much what I've been doing for the last, was this, oh my God. Was,
As far as you can remember, right? As long as I can remember. So,
I just do, you know.
I know we have an hour, so I want to make sure I ask you
Yes.
because there's so much that I know we don't know. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm going to ask some questions. Family, if you know the answer to these questions, God bless you. But if you don't, I think it's a good idea, like I said, that we start talking about some things. They're terms that, a lot of us don't know. We don't know about equity. We don't know what it is. We don't know how to acquire it, accumulate it. We don't know. We don't know
Mm-hmm.
enough about it. We don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Well, let's start there. How about that? We'll start with equity.
Okay.
Um, First of all, what does it mean to have equity in your home?
Equity in your home is the difference between the amount of money that you owe on the property
Mm,
compared to how much the property is actually worth. So, for clean numbers, if you owe $100,000 on your property, but
mhm,
it's worth $200,000, then you have $100,000 in equity in your property. That's what
mm.
equity is. Um, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were about to ask something.
I had a question about this. So, how long would you say someone should live? How long would you say it would take for an individual to live in a home to have a decent amount of equity, especially if they have a desire on moving or living elsewhere? Like,
So here's the thing. I tell most people, if you're planning to live in the property for less than 3 years, you
hmm
probably will not accumulate or accrue a lot of equity in the house. You might just be able to break even by the time you sell the property, because when selling a property, there's costs to doing so. So by the
right.
time you pay the real estate agent, you pay the transfer tax, in Philadelphia, especially, is 2.14%, buy side 2.14%, sell side, in Delaware County is 1% each side. So there's cost to selling your property. And
Mm.
if you sell your property too soon, you may not be able to take advantage of that equity. So you might have a little bit, but by the time you sell your property, it's gone.
Oh,
So if
wow.
you plan on moving within the next, 3 years or so, you really have to look at actually your agent, whoever you
hmm
work, whoever you're working with, will be able to look at the situation where you're buying, because where you're buying makes a difference too. The
Uh,
repairs, the upgrades you make to the property makes a difference too. There's so many factors that you have to take into consideration when determining how long you should live in a property before you decide to move or sell that property. But on average, I would say about 3 years. A little longer than that, then you should have, some enough equity in your house to be able to walk away with some level of profit to be able to put towards the new house that you purchase.
mm, mm. So, would you say? would you say about what would you say the standard amount of money for a down payment would be for a house? Or are there instances where someone can put down? Let me start with the first question because I have so much, so much, just so much. Okay, so much is going on here. So, what would you say would be the standard down payment?
There is no standard down payment. It
Okay.
really depends on the type of financing you're getting. For instance, if a buyer with FHA financing, you could put down 3.5% of the purchase price. So clean numbers, $100,000, $3,500, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a down payment. You're probably not going to be able to find a house for
Right, right about now. Okay.
We'll see. But just for clean numbers, $3,500, so 3.5% of the purchase price. With FHA financing, with conventional financing, you may be able to get away with putting 3% down. So it really depends. A lot of people think that they need 20% to put down on a property. You don't. And then right now, there's so many grants available for first-time home buyers. I have buyers buying properties because that money, the grant money, can actually go towards your down payment and your closing costs. So
wow.
we have buyers purchasing properties with less than 3.5% out of pocket. So it really depends. That's why, if you have questions about whether or not you qualify, should I buy, just talk to a qualified real estate agent and they'll be able to, walk you through it rather than just assuming you can't do it.
Family, thank you for the answer to that question. Family, if you've just joined us, you're tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, on air and online at wordradio.com. We are talking with Desarrie, the real estate diva, McDuffie. Okay. And I know I have a ton of questions, but I want to make sure your questions are answered too. So, what you can do is you can reach out to us on our socials to ask your question. But if you're saying, "Well, look, I don't know about all that," you can also call us. If you say, "I prefer to talk," you can call us by dialing 215-634-8065, or you can call us toll free at 1-866-361-0900. I want to take another minute to go back to our socials for a moment because some of our other family members are joining the conversation. They're saying hello, they're reaching out.
Hey.
Yolanda Berryman Green writes, "Great realtor." Desiree is waving. She says, "Hey girl, hey."
Hey, girl,
Okay, that was a "Hey girl, hey." Wait, that's what that was. Harry writes, "Hey Carol and Word family." Hey there, Harry, and guest. He follows up with that. "Hi there, y'all. It's so nice to know that you two are joining the conversation." I have, uh, well, quite honestly, the real estate market, I don't know what it is now or what's going on now in the market, but I know I see so many things, and real estate is so ridiculous. Well, what I've seen is so ridiculously priced nowadays. I can't imagine what some of the rates are and what it takes to even buy just a simple house. It just saddens me that we're here. You want to buy a single family home, and there's so much to do in order to do so. What I want to do before I go back to my questions, I'm going to take a moment to go to our phone lines because our family member Kevin is on the line, and I believe he has a question. Kevin, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here. Hello, Carol. How are you?
Hello, I am well, thank you. How are you?
Man, I'm doing amazing.
Ooh, I
Listen,
love that.
the connections that you have been helping us up with is awesome. Because I'm working with the brother that you had on that I was calling about,
Good.
Anthony
Oh,
Franklin.
yes. Good. I'm so glad. See, this is what
We
I
working on the
want.
business credit, and
Good.
also now I'm getting ready. After 32 years, I'm getting ready. Be heard about my discrimination with the military after 32 years.
Oh,
So, and
Kevin.
guess what? As ironically, it's this Saturday. Everybody keeps telling me, no, they're not saying, you're not having a hearing on Saturday. Yes, I am. That's God's grace. That's
Mm-hmm.
first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just like before
Mm-hmm.
Memorial Day, which is for veterans, right?
Yes, it is.
It's PTSD month. June is PTSD month.
You know what?
That's what I'm going. It's God. I know it's God.
Nobody but, okay? Nobody but.
And also, see, and it's funny because my dad sometimes, he's a little, anxious, and he was talking about selling our property. You know what our property is worth.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, no, let's keep it. Because my younger sister. I said, where's she gonna live?
Right.
You know what I mean? And then I said, well, and he was talking about getting it fixed up, and that's what y'all talking about, equity.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely want to call it Desarrie, because I know we have great equity in there. My grandma had our house over 60 years.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's in a prime location.
Prime location, right?
Mm-hmm. It sure is. It sure is.
So my question is, how do we go about getting a place to see how much equity we have in there without having to? Because him, oh man, I said, listen, we're gonna borrow a little money, get the house fixed up like you want it, without hurting us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, I do. I sure do.
Because he been wanting to fix it up, and I said, nah, and that came to my mind. I said, listen, this is a perfect time to have someone come talk to him and say, listen, we can get the house fixed up. You know what I mean? We don't have to put the whole house back into another mortgage, right? We can get it fixed up really, really nice. Even maybe add another level on the top and a deck in the back. You know what I mean? Because that's what they're doing.
Yeah, that's just true. There are a lot of things. You're absolutely right. To increase the property value, to make it better, more attractive to a buyer. I understand that. What I want to do though, Kev, I'm looking at the time because we're going to have to take a short commercial break, but stay with us. Hold on, because Desarrie is going to answer your questions when we come back. We're going to take a short commercial break. Family, if you've just joined us, you're tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, on air and online at WURDradio.com. That's WURDradio.com. We've got Kevin on the line now. He has a question that Desarrie is going to answer when we come back. But if you too have a question, feel free to call us 215-634-8065, or you can call us toll free at 1-866-361-0900. But whatever you do, stay with us, okay? Because we will be right back.
Join leaders from across the city and region on May 24th at the Community College of Philadelphia for the Chamber of Commerce for Greater Philadelphia's third Inclusive Neighborhood Growth Issue Forum, focusing on the business and societal benefits of increasing in-person, hybrid, and remote internship opportunities for all of our region's middle and high school students. Go to chmbr.biz/ing-future-leaders to register for this event. Again, go to chmbr.biz/ing-future-leaders to register for this event today.
Pollution from trucks is a public health crisis. Diesel-burning trucks belch dangerous levels of pollution, and communities living near ports and along freight corridors breathe especially high levels of this dirty air. But this crisis has a solution. My name is Sasan Sadat, and I work for Earth Justice. I'm working to clean up our air quality, particularly for communities that bear the burden of diesel pollution. For the sake of our lungs, our health, and our climate, the future of trucking in this country has got to be zero emissions. Until then, I will never rest.
Earth Justice is a national legal nonprofit defending the environment and people's health. Earth Justice is fighting to save lives, protect our climate, and strengthen our economy through the shift to zero emissions. If clean air matters to you, visit us at earthjustice.org. Earth Justice, because the earth needs a good lawyer.
Founders Day is just around the corner, and it's time to nominate a person or a group for the 3rd Annual Community Impact Award. Nominees should be a person or a group in business, health and wellness, creative and performing arts, and community engagement who works tirelessly to strengthen and uplift our community. You can also nominate a WURD host or staff member. The deadline for nominations is June 9th. Please visit our website at WURDradio.com. Scroll to the latest news section and click on the post about making a nomination for WURD's Community Impact Award. The finalists will be announced on Friday, June 30th, and the recipients will receive their awards during the Founders Day celebration on August 18th. So save the date and make a nomination today.
You're listening to Love and Life with Carol Riddick on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
Hey there, family. Welcome back. You're tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, on air and online at wordradio.com. You know, I'm going to say it just because I like to do so. That's WURDradio.com. We are talking with none other than Desarrie McDuffie, the real estate diva, the only one you need to talk to. We have Kevin on the line, and Kevin asked a question about the property that he and his family own. They want to know, well, you heard the question, I'm sorry. They want to know about how do they find out about the equity in the home and what they can do to.
Okay, so basically, there's several ways you can find out the equity in your home. You could, if you wanted to, hire an appraiser to do a full appraisal on your property, and that would technically be an official appraisal on your property, and that will tell you how much the property is worth, and you would be able to determine how much the equity is. I don't know if there's a current mortgage on the property, but the difference between the value and the mortgage is what the equity would be. Or you can contact the real estate agent. You can contact myself. And I will be able to give you a general idea as to how much equity you have in your property. If you're not really interested in selling the property right now, then, like I said, I could give you a general idea as to what the value of the property may be. But one of the things that I wanted to mention is just be careful. Make sure you talk to a trusted real estate agent. You talk to a trusted loan officer when you talk about getting a loan to take out, to take out a loan to rehab your property. Please be extremely careful. There's a lot of predatory lenders out there that charge enormous interest rates. And, a lot of the times they target seniors and people who do not know any better. Right. So I had a situation after I sold actually my oldest buyer. She was 65 when she purchased her first home. That was her dream, to purchase a home. And she decided that she wanted to take out a loan to add additional cabinets in her kitchen. It was a completely predatory situation. And she called me about it and we discussed it. And, she had already signed the paperwork. It was really not much I could do about it. But had she talked to me beforehand, I would have, told her to go in a completely different direction. So there are loan programs that you could, could get into. For one, it's called the 203K renovation loan. You could take that out on your property, where you use the equity in the loan, and it's a government-backed loan through FHA, and the interest rate is the same interest rate that it would be on FHA. Okay, so you could possibly do that. The city actually has a program now. I can't think of the name of it, but they actually have a repair program now. So, look at your city resources, look at the grants that may be available. There may be money available to you to be able to make the basic repairs on the home. Like, for instance, if you need a roof, or, you need, sheetrocking done or electric done, those type of things. Use that money that's available to you for those items. And then if you decide that you want to take out a loan to do additional upgrades that may not be covered through those programs, then you can do that. But whatever you guys do, please do research. A letter in the mail offering you X amount of dollars, on your property to, lend you. It's so, listen, I'm gonna tell you guys, and I'm a huge advocate for my community. For one, there's a a program out here. I don't know the name of the program, but people are really getting mixed up with it, where they offer to lend you money on your property to make rehab or to repairs on your property. But basically, you're signing paperwork that if you choose to sell your property in the future, in the next 40 years, guess who you're selling the property to? Them. So please read the fine print. Please read the fine print. If it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Mm-hmm. So, reach out, check, a real estate agent's, credentials and, a lender's credentials, and don't just go with, the first person you talk to. They had that, talk fast, research this information, because so many of us are being taken advantage of. So if you, Dylan, wanted more information, I'm sorry, what was the guy's name?
Kevin,
I'm sorry. If Kevin wanted more information, please feel free to reach out to me. I don't know if I should give my information now or not.
You can.
Okay. So I'm going to give you my office number. That number is 267-238-2877. Again, that's 267-238-2877. That is not a cell phone, so do not text that number. Just leave a message, and I promise to get back to you. But I'll be very happy to talk to you and your family about what your options are. I want to make sure that you guys are protected.
Thank you for that. You know what, Desarrie? I have a question. The first thing you said when you began your response to Kevin's question was about hiring. Was it an appraiser?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What does an expense like that look like? How much does it typically cost to hire an appraiser?
Depending on the appraiser, I would say between $450 and $650, depending on the size of the property. But it's really not necessary. So a lot of people think when they're looking to put their property on the market, they should get an appraisal on their property. Mm-hmm. You can. And this is a completely different situation, but you can get an appraisal on your property. But just because it appraises for, let's say, $350,000 today, 6 months from now, when you find a buyer for that property, does not mean that property is going to appraise for $350,000. And that lender does not have to use your appraisal because it's your private appraisal. So I tell a lot of sellers, I can't stop you from spending your money how you want to spend your money, but a professional, experienced real estate agent, knowledgeable real estate agent will be able to give you an idea as to, because we're working with the buyers, right? We're out here in the trenches, so we can tell you what buyers are paying for properties. You don't have to spend the $600 on an appraisal because our job is, if you hire a real estate agent, our job is to get you as much money for the property as possible anyway.
Listen, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. Family, if you've just joined us, you're tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, on air and online at wordradio.com. We are talking with Desarrie McDuffie, who is the real estate diva, and she's helping us with all of the hard questions. She's actually already educated me on a lot of things. I want to make sure that you have the information that she shared just a moment ago. And I see Kevin in our socials just asked. She shared her number, which is 267-238-2877. That's the number to her office. She said you can call, you can leave a message, and she will get back to you to see if she can help you on your journey. So the next question that I have, well, let me say you're welcome, Kevin. You are so welcome. And it was good hearing you. Family, what I will say is that I know I have a ton of questions, but I know you do too, because we don't all know everything. So if you have a question, share it on Facebook, share it on our socials so that everybody can know, because I would be willing to bet that if you don't know, somebody else doesn't know too. That's the way I see it, and we can all help one another. Or if you want to call us to ask your question or even to make a comment, feel free to do so by calling us at 215-634-8065, or you can call us toll free at 1-866-361-0900. So the next question I have, Desarrie, is about student loans. How much does having a student loan play in someone getting approved for buying a house?
So It definitely plays a part because the loan officers of the lending institution has to take a percentage of that loan value and apply it to what we call your debt to income ratios. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So if you have, I've had buyers who make pretty good money, but they may have $400,000-$500,000 in student loans, and that would affect their debt to income ratios. So
Sure.
it really depends on the type of loan that you're getting, conventional versus FHA, as to what percentage the lending institution must account for. But it definitely plays a part in
Mm.
buyer's ability to purchase. So be careful with your student loans as well.
I'm glad I asked that question because that leads me to asking you, what are some things that we should know prior to buying our first house?
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely, obviously, the credit, right? You have to make sure your credit is in order. A lot of people don't necessarily understand. So, for instance, you should have at least a 620 credit score in order to get the best rates, right, through
Mm.
FHA. Yes, there are some lending institutions that can lend to you if you have a 500 credit score and all of that, but the interest rate is going to be higher and they may
Mm.
require more money down. So, it makes sense for you to put yourself in the best financial position as possible to be able to qualify for a mortgage. The other thing, the gentleman spoke about credit earlier as well. So one of the things that people don't realize is that if you are disputing items on your credit, they have to be resolved before you purchase a property. You
Mm.
cannot have items on your credit like you're disputing the Macy's bill. And yes, it's in dispute. And yes, your credit score jumped up to a 750, but it's in dispute. So you have to resolve that issue. Either you have to pay that debt off, or you have to come to some agreement with that creditor to pay a lesser amount. But you cannot get a loan through traditional financing, I put it to
Mhm.
you like that, if you have items on your credit that you are disputing. So I say that to say a lot of people work with credit repair companies and they just dispute everything, right?
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
person's credit score goes up and they're like, yes, I'm ready to buy a house. And we're like, no, you're not. And a lot of people don't understand. So yeah, definitely you cannot have items in dispute if you're looking to purchase a property. And you cannot hold a whole lot of debt either, right? Based on your income. So if you're the type of person
Mm.
that have high balances on your credit cards and all of those things, that affects your ability to pay. It increases your debt to income ratios. So yes, you make good money, but you spend a lot of money too. And the bank is going to look at that and say, okay, well, they are not that credit worthy. We can't give you a loan as high as you may want because you carry so much debt. The last thing I'll say mention to that is, if anybody is even considering buying a house, please, 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 your credit is good, you're happy, you're excited, please do not go out there and buy a car. Do not do it. I see that.
Right? Yeah. Well, I don't. I was like, wow, really?
Do not. And so here's the thing. That's why you have to be careful about who you're listening to. A lot of credit repair people, they may say, well, the best way to increase your credit score is to go out there and get a car loan. Yeah, that's true. But it also increases your debt to income ratios. So now
Right.
I was speaking to someone the other day. I can't fathom. He has like $1,000 car note. And I was just like, $1,000 a month for a car?
Mm-mm.
I was like,
Mm-mm.
oh my God. And he
Mm-mm.
wants to buy a house. And I'm like, that $1,000, like just for clean numbers again, if the bank said that you qualify for a monthly mortgage amount of, let's say, $2,500, you down to $1,500 now.
Mm. Lord, heavens to Murgatroyd. You know what, Desiree?
Yes, ma'am.
Lord, no, this is also so much. It's good information. It's necessary. It's
Mhm,
definitely necessary because, like I was saying to you earlier today, we don't talk about these things.
mhm.
Listen. We typically learn this stuff, but through trial and error. Which is why I said I want us to start talking about this stuff, because I can say one of my kids, I don't have any biological children. I know, I told you. But for those who didn't hear me say that, I don't have any biological children. But one of my kids, one of my babies, he did the same thing. Went to buy a car and he had this ridiculously high car note. And I said, "What? Wait, okay. Can we talk about your can we talk about your future and what your financial plans for the future and what you intend to do?" Because again, if we, I believe when we know better, we do better. And he didn't know. He didn't know. So when he told me, we started talking about it, it was a different conversation. But it could have been another conversation had I known what he was about to do. It would have been a different conversation. Family, if you've just joined us, once again, you're tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, on air and online at wordradio.com. We're talking with Desarrie McDuffie. We are talking with the one and only real estate diva, and she is educating us on all things as it pertains to home buying, home selling. Well, I shouldn't say that. Real estate. How about that? Let's put it under, because it's all under the umbrella of real estate. When we come back, though, we're going to talk some more about real estate. I know you have some questions. I know you do, because I didn't ask everything, and I only have a few more questions left because we don't have a whole lot of time left. But I want to make sure your questions are answered. Okay. So if you have a question, please put it in the comment section on our socials or call us. I'm going to give you the number one more time before we go to commercial break. That's 215-634-8065, or you can call us toll free at 1-866-361-0900. I'm going to ask this question before we go to break, and then when we come back, I'm going to ask you to share the answer with us. So I'm curious to know, because we talk about property. You were talking about having purchased an investment property, and you said you only had $30,000 when you went to buy this investment property. Is it necessary to have that amount of money, or at least that amount of money if we're interested in purchasing an investment property? I'm going to, at this moment, ask you to pause because we're going to go to commercial break. But I'm curious to know, what do we need to do? What do we need to have? What kind of ducks do we need to have in a row or in order to purchase an investment property? So family, stay with us because we'll be right back.
In honor of our 20th anniversary, WURD presents a new podcast archiving our history and the history of our beloved city. Vintage WURD Season 1 is a weekly journey into the WURD archives, reconnecting with classic shows and beloved hosts. That's Vintage WURD, this Sunday at 11 a.m., only on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
Ashiro's work is never done. You care for the house, the kids, and our future. We're so grateful for all you do. Now it's time to care for yourself and save a little more for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to boost your retirement savings now. Visit aceyourretirement.org today.
A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
What are you waiting for? If you've been enjoying the information and interviews WURD provides every day, or come out to our community events, it might be time to become a member. This year marks the 20th anniversary of WURD, and there's no better time to join the forward movement. Sign up or renew your sustaining membership at just $90, or your digital membership for just $5 a month. Join online at wordradio.com/membership, or pick up the phone and give us a call at 215-425-7875. Press 4 for assistance. The time to join is now.
What am I waiting for? I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling. The limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
We know the world is crazy. There's a never-ending stream of negativity constantly flowing by our ears. We need daily reminders that joy is essential. WURD Radio offsets the awful with daily words of joy and empowerment. These are on-air messages meant to uplift our spirit. We invite you, the WURD listener, to share your words of joy and empowerment with us. You can read a brief poem, share a favorite inspirational quote, an empowering story, or a passage from a book. Just call 215-425-7875, extension 107, and leave your words of joy and empowerment on the voicemail. Please make sure your message is 1 minute or less. It will be helpful to use a timer to stay on track. We look forward to broadcasting your words of joy and empowerment. We are WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
What is love?
You're listening to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
I think I know what love is.
Hey there, family. Welcome back. You are tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, on air and online at wordradio.com. As we come to we're coming upon the end of our show. We only have a few minutes left. I have a question that I posed to Desarrie before we went to commercial break. And that was, if you're interested in purchasing an investment property, what is it necessary that we have together in order to do so?
It really depends as far as the amount of money you need to be able to purchase a property. On average, you should plan to have at least 20 to 25% of the purchase price to, as your down payment. That does not include closing costs, though. So transfer tax, any other, the banks, the lending institution fees, and all of those things are your closing costs. So you would typically need a little more than that, but you may be able to get a seller assist. That's when the seller contributes to, pay a part of your closing costs. But on average, you do need about 20 to 25% down. So no, you don't need 30,000. In my situation, I was, that was just money that I had saved because I was a workaholic at that time. So I was making cash for the little property.
Okay.
But, so you don't need that amount of money. And then the other thing is, when you're preparing to buy an investment property, there's several, you still have to have pretty good credit, right? You still have to have your credit in order, but there is a program through most lending institutions where, as long as you can cover the monthly rent amount, like for instance, if you have a tenant living in that property, you're interested in purchasing a property, there's a tenant there, right? That tenant is paying $1,500 a month, right? If your mortgage on that property is $1,500 or less, guess what? You can buy that property and they care nothing about your credit. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Looking at your credit, they're not looking at your income, they're looking at any of those things. They only want to make sure that you can cover that debt on that property through the tenant paying the mortgage.
Understood.
So, yeah. So it's like I said, that's why I said it's important to talk to your real estate agent and try to figure out what's the best course of action for you. You have to get a little creative sometimes.
So I have another question. So now, a lot of people say the buying is cheaper than renting. Would you say that's necessarily true?
In today's market, not necessarily true.
Okay.
In the past, more than likely true.
Okay.
But I still don't want to discourage people from buying a property, even if the mortgage is a little higher than what you would be spending if you were renting the property. This is what I always say. One, one of the reasons why it may be a little higher is because the interest rate is a little higher. You can always refinance. Once the interest rates come down, refinance, bring your mortgage amount down, right? The other thing is you will never, ever, 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 I don't care how long you can live in a property for 30, 40 years, you will never be able to pay off rent. It ain't being paid off. You can't pay it off. A mortgage, you can pay off. So that's why I tell people, start having these thoughts and take action about buying a property when you're younger. Because think about it. I can just talk about my parents. When they were renting their first property, I think their rent was like $60 a month for a whole house.
Yeah.
When I was born in 1970, yes.
Listen, own it, claim it. We are happy to be here. Okay.
You're right.
Listen.
1977. But
okay, 69. So listen, I love it.
Yeah, so their mortgage, their rent was like $60 a month. That same house today, because I know where that house is. That's the house I was born in. That same house today, if they were to rent that house, the owner was to rent that house. Same footprint, it's been renovated, all that beautiful stuff and all that. Actually, it was rebuilt because that house was torn down. But anyway, long story short, that same house will rent now for about $2,200.
Yeah, isn't that insane? It's really insane to me. The house in which I grew up. The only reason my family sold it was because there was a crack in the foundation. And there were two doctors who were buying the entire block. They bought the whole block. But the house in which I grew up, the development itself started at 1.3 million. And that was just for the shell. That was before you chose whatever it was that you wanted to customize your new townhouse. But the place where I grew up, it was, and my grandparents, I still have their rent book from when they purchased the property. But yeah, just it amazes me, the world in which we live today, the price that is put on everything. It's just it really does amaze me. So one other question, I'm going to ask you this really quickly.
I just want to say this fast.
Go right ahead. Go. No, please do.
There's a reason I mentioned that, right? You cannot pay off your mortgage. We have to start thinking about our future. You cannot pay off rent.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So we have to start thinking about our future, right? At some point, we're all going to be of a retirement age. And the way rents are increasing, many of us are not going to be able to pay that rent. But guess what? If you purchase a house early enough, maybe your house is paid off and all you have to pay for is obviously maintenance on your property, but taxes and insurance on the property. So then you can live. It breaks my heart when I have people reach out to me and they're seniors and their landlord is selling the property or the rent is too high and they're like, I want to buy a house or I need another place to live, and they're on a fixed income of $600 and something a month. There's nothing I can do. I can't help. I have to send you to maybe apply for public housing or something, but it's nothing I can do to help. So we have to start, like you said, Carol, start having these conversations now so that we begin to think about our futures and prepare for them, prepare to be able to live comfortably as we get older.
Desarrie, I cannot thank you enough for coming to visit with us. I cannot. I hope that you will come back to visit with us again. As we begin to wrap up tonight's episode, would you please once again share with everyone your information, how they may contact you?
Yes. So my office number is 267-238-2877. Again, that's 267-238-2877. My website, which you could go on and register, get information about buying or selling a property. That website is phillyrealestatediva.com. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook at Philly Real Estate Diva. So you put in Desarrie Real Estate Diva or Philly Real Estate Diva, you'll find me. So I'm
family.
Very happy to help anyone out there.
And family. If you did not get any of that information, you can always email us. You can email me at loveandlife@wordradio.com, and I will make sure you get all of that information. Again, if you did not get the information that Desarrie just shared. You can email me and I will personally respond to you and share the information that you desire. That is love and life at WURD Radio, WURD radio.com. Family, as we wrap up tonight's episode, I extend my utmost gratitude to you as you continue to support love and life. I cannot thank you enough and have you know and understand just how much it means to me that you joined the conversation in a different way today. I think it was it did my heart good. I will say this, to have the conversations about what's going on. I think that's something that we need to continue to do. If you're all right with that, I'm all right with that, because I love talking with you and communicating with you in a more personal way. And I love when we have our guests, of course, because we get to share some additional information that, none of us knew. We get to talk with the experts. So I love that. I love that. So special thanks to our guests tonight, none other than Mr. Dylan Swain, who joined us, who was sharing about our health and wellness, and to Desarrie, the real estate diva, McDuffie, for talking with us about everything under the umbrella of real estate. And guess what, family? I am going to make sure she comes back, because I know we have more questions. I know I do. But I thank the both of you for sharing your time and your energy, space, knowledge, attention, with us. It means so much. I want to thank our family members who called. I want to thank Fred and Miss Audrey and Jacob and Mama D and Kevin. Thank you all for calling and participating in the conversation. Thank you. Clayford Reed wrote great information. Nasir writes, yes. Kevin, Harry, Miss Yolanda, Joey, Miss Brenda, I love you more. Nasir and Craig, I can't thank you all enough for joining the conversation as well. You know it means the world to me. Okay. Again, I want to make sure you have Desirie's number. It's 267-238-2877. If you need additional information, you can email me at loveandlife@wordradio.com. That's WURDradio.com. I will make sure I put the link in the email, so all you have to do is click on her website. Okay, that's what I will do for you. Special thanks as well to Joey Parham for all the assistance. Thank you also to the entire WURD family, and my utmost gratitude always to Miss Kayla J and Niall Jax for all that you do. Y'all know I love you. Family, we're all in this together. I tell you this all the time, and that's because I mean it. We are all in this together. So be good to you, but be good to those around you. Please, please. And have a great night. And be sure to join me Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 p.m. for another edition of Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. Have a good night, y'all.
Good night.
Need a minute? Take a breath and breathe in positivity. Here are words of joy and empowerment from WURD Radio.
Vision without